Hello and welcome to LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. Each June, communities around the nation celebrate LGBTQ Pride Month. Here in Los Angeles, there's been a variety of activities, including a family-friendly event called South LA Pride. Joining us to talk about South LA Pride is journalist and community advocate Jasmine Cannick. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Anita.
Yeah, so you are the 2022 chair of South LA Pride, correct?
I am. It's such an honor to have been chosen for that position.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about South LA Pride.
Well, it's exactly what the name is, right? It's queer folks who live in South LA celebrating Pride. And traditionally, particularly in Los Angeles, a lot of people of color communities, POC communities, would hold different Pride celebrations outside of June, primarily because they felt like they weren't represented or reflected in sort of the mainstream Pride celebrations that would take place in West Hollywood. And in Los Angeles, for example, Black Pride for over 30 years was always Independence Day weekend. It was, and there still is a Black Pride, right? And then you would have a lot of Latino Pride celebrations in September. And now, in 2022, there are Pride celebrations everywhere. Everywhere I look, there are Pride celebrations. But South LA Pride, to me, it represents not just our culture, our pride in just being, Angelenos from, the south part of the city, but also the fact that within our own community, we can celebrate Pride. We don't have to go to West Hollywood. We don't have to go to other parts of the county to celebrate who we are. We can do it in our own communities with our own family and friends.
Mm-hmm. Well, Councilman Harris Dawson sent us a greeting about South LA Pride. Let's take a look.
The South LA Pride event was something we were very proud to sponsor. We started this off about 6 years ago. And obviously in the last 2 years we had to call it off because of COVID. And so this is the first year we're back. And so I'm excited at the turnout, I'm excited at the energy, and I'm excited that we're starting to build momentum again. It's important to have a celebration to South LA particular and focused on the Black community, because after all, Pride is a celebration of an action that started with a Black trans woman being beaten by police. And the resistance that came from the community upon that event. And so we want to continue to celebrate that resistance, continue to celebrate the importance of accepting everybody and accepting everybody as a family. We want to make sure people are recognized with their full selves in a way that also acknowledge their culture and their struggle. We're so proud to have been able to involve Jasmine Cannick. She's been one of the leading activists for almost 20 years now. I remember her challenging at different points in time the mainstream LGBTQ community. I remember her making sure that the plight of people who are in prison who are LGBTQ is lifted to the forefront. I remember her making sure that people understood that I can walk in a room and I don't have to tell people I'm lesbian, but everybody knows that I'm Black. And so those struggles for her are not disconnected.
Wow, some powerful words from the councilman about you.
Yes, I was not expecting that, Anita.
Well, how does it make you feel?
Besides old, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, maybe when I leave this earth, people will remember me. Some of the work that I did or tried to do.
South LA Pride is family friendly. Can you talk about that?
South LA Pride is hype and it's fun, but it's really meant for folks not only to just celebrate their pride, but be able to have an event where you can bring your family to. There are a lot of queer families, a lot of lesbian couples, gay couples, just a lot of folks in our community who are raising kids and families. And a lot of times with these Pride celebrations, they don't necessarily feel like they should be bringing young ones to them. And so it was really important to organize an event that was just as fun as those other events, you know, with the food and everything, the vendors and the entertainment, but also had this element that recognized, hey, yeah, we have families in our community and we want to be able to bring our kids out as well. Or not just our kids, what if we want to bring our grandmothers or our grandfathers or our parents?
And with the entertainment, there's live entertainment. Talk about some of the events that happen every year.
So this is the 4th year for South LA Pride. It had to take a 2-year hiatus, obviously, because of the pandemic. So, you know, what was really important with the planning committee and the folks around the table for South LA Pride was that the artists who performed came from the community, right? So a lot of times you'll go to Pride celebrations and they'll spend oodles and oodles of money on some big headliner, some, you know, famous musician, right? And the folks at the planning table for South LA Pride were like, no, we want to lift up artists from our own community. You know, look, Los Angeles is not short on talent. We may be short on housing for people, but not on talent. Okay?
Well, this is the entertainment capital.
Right, not talent. So there are plenty of queer, BIPOC artists here in Los Angeles that wanted to perform, and I'm so happy that we were able to get a good slate of artists together who really represent the community.
And who were some of this year's artists?
So this year we had the Angela Davis of hip hop, my good friend Medusa. She's an actress, she can sing, she can rap. And then we had the famous trans chorus of Los Angeles. We had our disco queen Kiki Kite, an R&B crooner, Clarice. We have a great performance from our ballroom community in Los Angeles, which is thriving. 2 of my favorite drag queens, Amber Crane and Soleil Valentino. And you know, what would a South LA Pride celebration be without having a gospel choir? So we were so blessed to have the renewed Church of LA's praise team. Los Angeles is home to a handful of Black churches that are specifically centered around the queer experience, and so many Black folks were asked to leave their churches or were not welcomed at traditional Black churches. And so these churches do have choirs, because there's always that choir director, and we can sing. And so what better than to do it in our own church?
Yes. And there is a city element.
Yes.
This is hosted by 2 city council members. Talk about that.
Yes, I have an interesting relationship with both. One is my previous boss, council member Herb Wesson, and the other is council member Marquise Harris Dawson. Look, together, those gentlemen represent a huge portion of South LA, and they also represent where the majority of Black and definitely Black, but also brown queer folks live. Look, you know, I don't live in West Hollywood, no shade to West Hollywood, but I live where other Black people live. And that is traditionally what you find with Black queer families, right? That they live in the Black community. And so having those 2 men come together and say, look, we're gonna put, you know, resources behind making sure that this is happening in our community, and we are going to lift up this part of our community, is amazing, because I can remember when you could barely get council members to show up and give a greeting at a Pride celebration or give you a certificate or recognize anyone who was queer. So we have come a very long ways.
And now they're hosting it.
Right.
Well, it sounds like you guys covered all the bases
Tried.
for South LA Pride. What does South LA Pride mean to you quickly?
It means I can celebrate all of who I am. I could be as ghetto fabulous as I want. I can be as, you know, gay as I want in my community. But more importantly, it just means celebrating with family and community.
Well, we are out of time. Thank you so much for watching this edition of LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. Have a great day.